Story 1. Setting boundaries when you've been a people pleaser for so long does not feel empowering at first. It feels awful. People will paint you as the problem, and you will internalize that at the beginning. Story 2. Age does not dictate maturity. Perfection is a trap. Maturity does not equal any particular thing, except that it reflects life experience and lessons learned about appropriate interpersonal behavior and communication. War is always about making someone richer. The poor fight it. If the rich had to, there would be world peace. The root of all evil isn't money. It's greed. Story 3. Do not get too comfortable if everything seems to be going well. A lot of times something upsetting will happen soon, and that is fine. Make sure to still care about your mental health as much as you would if you were having issues with it. Story 4. Nothing will ever be perfect, and there will always be problems. Trying to solve everything and live a perfect life is not possible, and attempting to do so will only wear you out faster. Learn to be okay with things not always being okay and learn to thrive in the chaos. Story 5. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not failure, that is life. Seriously. My life up until a couple of years ago was relatively simple. Then all the tragedies decided to show up at once, and no matter what I do, it still sucks. Story 6. There are likely no more ups as far as most of American society goes. No big renaissances, no huge positive culture shifts. It is just going to be down and down and down, sometimes slower, sometimes faster, but always sinking lower. The future is likely not very bright for most, which is why it is of the utmost importance to ensure that my future is everything I want it to be, and to work hard to be sure that I am giving 100% for my small family and my few friends. I will seek joy, and I will not be swindled by the world into thinking that I do not deserve it just because the rest of the world is drowning. Story 7. If you don't use the bathroom when you feel the urge, you may pass gas, and the urge might go away, allowing you to wait until you get home. Or you might have an accident. I didn't have an accident, but by not going earlier, I had a large, hard bowel movement that caused damage and resulted in bleeding. The toilet paper and the inside of the toilet were tinged red. Why didn't I go earlier, you wonder? I'm a city bus driver with limited bathroom access, and the available facilities are often undesirable. Knowing what I know now, maybe I should have gone anyway. My discomfort will last for days. Story 8. That someone doesn't have to die for you to grieve for them. My best friend forever is gone from my life. There is nothing we can do about it. And there is a giant, aching void in my soul where she used to be. It's unfair and ridiculous, but there is nothing I or she can do about it. Her friendship has been a unique experience in my life, a connection and a shared vibe that is intense, deep, and hard to describe. Spending time with her made me happy and fulfilled in a way that I had never felt before or even expected to. Story 9. At the end of the day, the only person who really has my back is myself. I've been let down by so many friends that at this point, I'm more surprised when people don't do something bad. Story 10. Be very careful with your health and keep a regular check on your body. I got type 2 diabetes, and my hemoglobin A1C was 13.85 months ago. I got so scared that I had to change my lifestyle drastically. Now, after 5 months, I lost 32 kilograms, and my hemoglobin A1C is now 6.1. What I'm trying to say is to keep a regular check on your health. It will benefit you. Story 11. People's perception of you is not reality. During my last job, I had a boss who would berate me constantly, tell me that he did not trust me to do my job properly, throw things at me when he got angry, and talk badly about me to my coworkers. I ended up quitting because he was making me feel miserable about myself even outside of work. At my current job, I went into the interview with no confidence and underestimated myself to the interviewer. 5 shifts in, my boss gave me a raise and told me that he was impressed with my work. The exact same work I did at my last job that I thought I was horrible at because of my previous boss. Another boss at this job told me to keep up the good work and that I am going places. Not to brag, but this was very high praise coming from him because he has opened and operated several successful businesses. So just because one person makes you feel horrible about yourself does not mean you are any less than you actually are. All it does is show you the type of person that they are. Maybe my last boss was just jealous. Haha. Story 12. Life is teaching me that without risk, there is no reward. Listen to your intuition. I left a job of 9 years, and I was terrified. I was depressed and questioning my decision. I landed a higher paying job with more flexibility. The work environment is less stressful. If I had stayed in my comfort zone, I would have never stepped into something better. The lesson I learned is to take risks and trust that God has a plan. Story 13. School doesn't teach the right subjects. I should have learned life skills I needed instead of trigonometry and glaciation, and how I should have filed my taxes and saved for a pension. Story 14. I am disabled now by a post-viral syndrome that has changed my life. I have decided that this winter I will stop feeling guilty and sad, and I will give my body the rest it is screaming for. I bought a bunch of embroidery supplies. I am going to chill out. Story 15. To not treat living as an emergency. I realized I have always been in a hurry and striving to be busy, as that is what felt right. I was driven by fear of not being good enough and wanting to be perfect. I am learning to pause and be present. That is sustainable. Story 16. I have no idea. I know something big is going on, there's a lot of movement. I just can't figure out what it means. I'll get back to you on it, I guess. Story 17. What you don't change, you choose. Staying at a job that's unfulfilling? That's a choice. Maintaining a less than ideal routine? Again, it's a choice. Until you make the choice to change, you'll remain. Now go out and do something productive and uncomfortable. Story 18. That sometimes, no matter how hard you have tried, how much you have worked, and how many things you want in life, you just do not get it. Sometimes it just comes down to luck, and sometimes it is better to just accept the loss rather than fight against a force you will never defeat. Story 19. Be slow to speak, especially when you are not in a good headspace. People remember the things you say to them in the heat of the moment, so even when you move past it, it lingers and affects things moving forward. Story 20. You can really get through anything in your life. It is not the end of the world when you need to meet so many deadlines in a week. You just need to manage, break through, and focus on the hardest to easiest tasks so it feels rewarding by the end. Story 21. To be your best self, you have to also try your best. Fear is holding you back. The bad thoughts, mood, and basically everything can be controlled if you work on it. Story 22. The evil is not one individual but a group of individuals that will do anything in order to steal everything. Be so rich that laws are at best a shy recommendation. In short, the richest 1%. Story 23. After a turbulent year filled with change, it occurred to me the other day that things are pretty good. And if this is as good as it gets, it's a good life. I haven't felt that comfort in quite some time, and when it hit, it hit. Story 24. Patience. Facing delays, hardships to learn how to be courageous and tough, things falling apart, transition to a new stage of life, being alone, life's telling me to love myself more and put my needs first sometimes, etc. Story 25. That the person who helps others in their adulting, making official phone calls and bureaucracy things in a third language, would not find anyone to support them if they need to do these things for themselves. I do not want to see people anxious about not being able to communicate in a language that is not theirs, so I help. But I had a lot of bureaucracy to go through the last few months, and since I am the one who knows, I just had to deal with them alone. Story 26. That being suspicious of your partner isn't jealousy if it's actually earned. I used to be so jealous after my first serious partner left me for their ex, and with this one, I finally felt at peace. However, there was a certain slip-up that doesn't make me feel the pain of jealousy. It's just a deep pain. Story 27. I can't handle repetitiveness, man. Every day is the same. It's like a waking nightmare. There's nothing really wrong, but it's all just the same. I hate it. Story 28. At the end of the whole theatrical version of life, it's you and only you that you can never give up on. No matter who makes their love unconditional to a fault, if they don't understand you, then that's on them. Story 29. That life really sucks when you're disabled by chronic pain. Also, being able to walk properly is really important for not damaging the rest of the joints in your legs. Story 30. Stand up for your own rights. Otherwise, no one else will do it for you, even if it means confronting your own family. Sometimes, people may seek to benefit from you without caring about your feelings or circumstances. It is important to set boundaries and defend yourself when necessary. Story 31. I currently have no front teeth. My gum is trying to heal from implant surgery, so I guess I need to floss. But this is not because I didn't floss, just an accident. I need to be more careful, I think. Story 32. After watching Win get voted off strictly last night, it does not matter how good or bad you are at something. If popular opinion is against you, you are doomed to failure. Story 33. Just because you like someone very much doesn't mean you should accept any attention they give. If it's not enough now, it never will be. Alone is better than the same. Story 34. The most terrifying challenge one might face is pain. It is much easier to cope with it when you know the reason for the suffering, even if it is a death sentence. My illness had long been undiagnosed, and the state of both physical and mental distress had reached the point where it became unbearable. Now I am finally undergoing treatment. Internally, I am no longer scared of death. What I am truly scared of, and will never go through again, is the pain. Death is not something to be terrified of anymore. I finally understand why testaments often say death means peace. It is not only the end of the positives we experience. For me, it means the end of all the pain. Story 35. Not great, but I'm learning that I can get by doing less than the minimum required work if I'm with people who aren't intimately familiar with the work, and I can just talk my way through anything as long as it sounds semi-believable. I am going to fail later in life, and I'm just allowing it and waiting for it to happen because I'm lazy. Story 36. I miss my boyfriend. I had a lot of bad exes and am super traumatized because they abused me. I was abused growing up. Head trauma is not fun. You need to stand up to authority sometimes, even if it seems disrespectful. Story 37. It's not yet your turn, and it probably won't be for a while, to receive all the blessings that you are praying for. Be happy for others in the meantime. Story 38. You only live once. Go on the trip, take the day off, let your kids stay home from school, etc., obviously within financial constraints. This could all be taken from you tomorrow. I'm guilty of stressing over the future and not living in today, which I'm trying to work on. Story 39. You have to learn how to fight. You might have a boss that breaks the rules. Unless you want to be a victim, you need to know how to fight on a corporate level. Story 40. Finding the confidence to trust that I know what's best for me, making it known, and not backing down from it. Basically, trying to learn how not to people please or try to be perfect all the time. It's hard. Story 41. Never neglect how you feel deep down. Even if life provides you with distractions that benefit you, make sure that your mental health is looked after too. Next thing you know, you have been carrying the same baggage all this time. Story 42. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up and knows it must outrun the fastest lion or it will be killed. Every morning a lion wakes up and knows it must run faster than the slowest gazelle, or it will starve. It does not matter whether you are a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you had better be running. I have this posted on my wall as I work on my business every day. Story 43. That I am susceptible to physical injury. I recently spent a week hiking on various mountain trails in my region and ended it with a sprained ankle and aching joints. My job alone is physically demanding, but I may have gone a little overboard while taking some time off. Story 44. Patience and acceptance. I have no control over anything right now. I am stuck in New England, and I want to go back to Ohio. It will resolve itself before too long, but I am not a free man right now. Story 45. It's not a new lesson, really, just yet again, humans are cruel and life sucks. And the government sucks. I hope they rot, especially along with the person who ruined most of my life now. Story 46. That I can't just push myself through recovery. It's a slow process. I've been sick for more than a month, and every time I feel slightly better, I start doing things which increases my recovery period. The doctor told me last Thursday to rest for 2 weeks. I tried attending a live course from home today, thinking that instead of watching television, I could watch the course. Nope. Half a day and I am feverish. So yeah, disconnecting, sleeping in. I don't want to end up in the hospital for a third time in a month. Story 47. To be more social. It really sucks when growing up you thought you were the perfect kid only to grow up and realize you were a jerk the entire time. Trying to fit in society at an older age is really hard. Story 48. To love myself fully and completely, with little regard for any drama that may be happening around me. Oh, and to let go of the guilt and shame I have been holding for too long. Story 49. That I can actually make it on my own. I was born with a birth defect in my feet and had about 30 surgeries to repair it. And my mother always called me her defective child. She said I would always have to depend on someone else to survive. Next year, I'll easily make $90,000. Story 50. That losing weight would be a big benefit to my health. The last 6 to 7 days, I've been walking almost 14 kilometers while out in Japan. And with my food problem, I'm in a lot of pain. Loving the trip, but it would be better if I wasn't in foot agony for the majority of the day. Story 51. Be humble. For the past 3 years, I've been reckless with my body, my mind, and my money. It just took a few months of health issues and financial turbulence to teach me to manage my money and my body carefully. Story 52. Success often comes at the price of looking foolish and being alone, and that price is usually worth it. Some of the people at the top of my classes were simply hardworking and willing to put their ego aside and ask the absolute dumbest questions, to the benefit of themselves and everyone else who was too afraid to say anything. I also learned this by overcoming the fear of going out to bars by myself. Try not to let your ego constrain your potential and enjoyment of life.